Okay, right. So good morning, all of you. My name is Kalyan. Yeah. So before we start, I just want to know how many of you have written an essay till now? Mains? Anyone written mains? Okay. Yeah. So on your own, have you ever written a essay like for 2 hours? No, you haven't. So this is for total freshers, like 2022 aspirants. Yeah. Please. Yeah. So online people. I think some of you have written essays. Most of you haven't. So we'll start with the most basic thing. First, understanding what kind of questions are coming in the last few years. Then we will proceed to develop what is essay content and all those things. So the moment I say essay, most of us have a perception that I don't need to prepare for essay, right? But whatever I prepare for GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 will suffice, and essay have intro, body, conclusion. So you don't need to attend a class for that specially. It's a very basic thing. But when I say essay, we have stereotypes. For example, women, health, education. So if you see the screen, uh, just a second. Yeah, if you see the screen, these are the color coded thing. Light yellow is philosophical essays, whereas purple is art and culture. The pink is society. The in 2020 there was a paper which says question number 3 in section B, patriarchy is least noticed. Everybody knows it's about women, okay, but we cannot stereotype and say it's about women that easily. How do you write that particular topic in the context that is asked? That means most aspirants write what they know. When we come out of the exam hall, we assume I have written a fantastic essay, but have you written it in the perspective? Perspective is more important than what you have written. Are you writing in the right orientation? In the same way, if you see the second question, social justice, economic prosperity, and so it's very simple, right? Money versus development. But the terminology they have used is economic prosperity. They're not talking about money making, they're talking about prosperity. Yes. And social justice is a very broad concept. There also you have to understand. So in if you see from 2014 onwards, the philosophical essays weightage have gone high. Yes, I will share the PDF after the class also. You can easily understand every year they are attaching 4 philosophical topics, and even in section 2 also, what looks like a diverse set sections, the options are very narrow. The options are very narrow. Uh, for example, biased media is a threat to democracy. Sounds very easy. Yes, biased media. But when you start writing 1500 words for the same, that is when you feel the heat. Yeah. So I assume basically you know what kind of topics are coming in the last few years. Yes. The thing is they have made an entire section for philosophical essays. Why? People started coming with templates. I will write a woman essay. I will prepare. I will go to UPSC. Woman essay will be there. I will dump the data, and people are getting scores. So to test your spontaneity, on the spot thinking, they have added philosophical topics. Okay, that is the reason. And most students actually have the problem in philosophical essays because they assume when the topic is philosophical, I also have to write philosophically. That is not the case. Just the topic is philosophical. Whatever you write is still the same. We will take an example and we will go through and you will understand it in a much better fashion. Right. And UPS is always contemporary. If you see 2017, right, the paper is talking about a lot of things that are happening at that particular point of time. So in 2022, when you are going to write your mains, again the context will vary uh, latest. So you have to be very updated with the current affairs. Now you got the idea, right? Philosophical essay is one total section. The rest one is you have limited options, and the stereotype that I will prepare woman and go is no longer working. You have to be very spontaneous, and that develops only through sheer practice. Okay. Yeah. And especially 2014 topics, if you notice, section B was very ridiculous in the sense, it's very difficult to attempt. See the questions in part B: 50 Olympics, 50 medals in Olympics. Okay. And sting operation a violation of privacy. These are all GS questions. GS questions have been elevated into UPSC topics, right? The only actual option that was left for students was either A or 1 or sorry 4, 5 or 8. Either you have to write the policy paralysis. In 2014, Congress government was about to end and Modi government was about to start. So the transition period, policy paralysis was there. Okay, so context oriented, or the only option was 8. So in namesake they have given 2 more options, but students who have written those 2 options won't get scores because the diversity is very very less. Okay, so before we jump into what and how of UPSC, always remember this: UPSC is simple, or essay writing is simple. Simple is not easy. Simple and easy are 2 different things. Simple is a instruction, like you have to have dimensions, you have to have examples, but practicing that for different topics is a very difficult exercise. Okay, so whatever I'm going to tell you, have a very open mind and feel free to ask any questions if you have any doubts or questions also. But understand, I'm not going to teach everything. I'm going to give you the simple way, like this is how you should proceed. But after that, whatever you practice is what makes you different from others, because the same things are known to everyone, right? So first of all, we will start with the basic thing, that is UPSC notification. All of you know 250 marks. It's a low hanging fruit. So UPSC essay is also called as a written personality test. Yes or no? After mains you get an interview call, but before, I mean, after prelims you get a written personality test. Why? You can bluff first 2 to 3 pages on any given topic, but after that you cannot bluff your way throughout unless and until you have a conviction on a particular topic. Let's say there is a topic about corruption. In the starting you wrote corruption is like this, corruption is like that. In the 5th page, 6th page, what will you write? Yes or no? You will contradict yourself. That means from page number 1 to page number 10, if you have a strong conviction, only then you can continue your good writing, or else you will contradict your own thought process. So that is why UPSC has added these 2 sections, especially essay. That is the reason why they have introduced the essay. And the exact word that are mentioned in the notification is, there will be no, this part. This is exactly from the UPSC official notification. Candidates are required to write essays on multiple topics. No surprises there, right? But keep closely to the subject. This is where most aspirants actually fail. Some people say I got 140 last year, this time I got only 90 or 110. You must have seen some people complaining about these things, because when I'm in the exam hall, I genuinely believe I'm writing very closely to the given topic, but I might have misunderstood the context. Yes, so I'm going off the track. So keeping closely, that means relevancy is everything in UPSC essay, and that is mentioned in the notification itself. And arrange their ideas in orderly fashion. What is arrangement of ideas in orderly fashion? For example, most people, whenever they see a particular issue, patriarchy, health, and all these things, okay, they write out all the problems. Just few days ago also, some student wrote this particular essay about economic development and social justice. He was mentioning all the 8 to 9 issues of the particular thing. But what is UPSC expecting from you? You are a potential bureaucrat. When you become an IAS tomorrow, okay, you have a lot of problems in the district. You have to look the problems from 360-degree point of view. Yes or no? You have to look it from every point of view. You are about to impose a lockdown. Okay, have you thought about the last man in the line? Did you think about the migrant labor? Yes or no? Okay, that kind of 360-degree thought process should be developed. If you are looking only from business perspective, your view is narrow. Yes or no? Kirana shop will be closed down, hotels will be shut down, hostels will be shut down. So you're only thinking about a particular section of the society and in a particular dimension. But what does a good bureaucrat do? A good bureaucrat will think from 360 degrees, from richest person, from Ambani to the last man, the poorest man in the line, or what we call as Daridra Narayan. Yes or no? So from Antyodaya, like the toppest, richest class, all the way till Antyodaya, sorry. If you can think about such people, you will have perspectives, or else your thought process will be very narrow. And how do you arrange? For example, if I talk about economic social justice, I have to maintain schools, hospitals, education, and all those things. Can I do that without making money? In an economy, can a government run government hospitals, schools, food security without money? So only when the economy grows, social justice can be delivered. Without social justice, what is the point of making money? Both are equally important. That means after a point of time, you praise economy, you also talk about the importance of social justice, but then you conclude by saying both of them are important. If India is becoming a $5 trillion economy and all the money is going only to Ambanis and Adanis, Okay, then what is the point of development? That is a valid criticism. At the same time, if you take everything and give only for development, people are also becoming lazy. Yes or no? Many states are now facing fiscal deficit. Why? Because of populist measures. You are making people lazy. That is also a wrong thing. There is a golden mean. You have to empower the people. That is a structured arrangement of ideas. That means plus, minus, and suggestions. The most important thing is suggestions, because you are a bureaucrat. Even a tea shop wala can tell what are the problems in the country. Yes or no? Even you are driving in a cab or an auto, if you talk to them, what will they say? They will tell all the problems in Hyderabad. But as a proactive governor, bureaucrat, what is your job? Your job is to find solutions, not the problems. Do I need to tell you that we have an urban flooding problem in Hyderabad? Yes or no? All of us know there is an urban flooding problem in Hyderabad. As a potential bureaucrat, what is your job? To find out the solutions. What is China doing about it? What is Netherlands doing about it? What is Germany doing about it? Yes, or what are other cities doing about it? If you know such things, then you can incorporate them in the essays. So a bureaucrat mindset is always about problem solving, not problem finding. It's easy. Anybody can know the problem. How can someone arrange the problems in an order, then list out the solutions? That is what UPSC is expecting from you. I hope all of you are clear on the particular point. Yes. So just in case for total freshers, this is UPSC official specimen copy. This is how the question paper will be, right? They will give you printed section A and limited number of papers. Once 14 pages are done, automatically section B will start. So you have to manage your word limit very accurately. Okay, right. Now, what are the meanings of the different words that are mentioned in the syllabus copy? If we understand them, we can proceed very quickly. Multiple topics is easy. Why? We prepare GS1 to GS4 and optional. Yeah. So multiple topics can be understood. But the problem is, some of you might have PSIR optional. You see something about federalism or some PSIR related topic in the essay. You automatically jump into that particular topic. Why? Because it feels very comfortable to you. For example, you are a sociology student, you automatically pick up women or patriarchy related topic. It's not a crime, but the thing is, this is a general essay. You're not supposed to dump all the sociology knowledge here. You're supposed to still show the 360-degree point of view to the examiner. And sometimes what happens is you get dragged into the sociology flow. You talk about patriarchy in a very high level and then you don't give other dimensions. So when you see a particular topic, it's very crucial to avoid that particular bias. Are we clear? Yes. Next. What do you mean by closely? Closely is relevance. Let's take a topic. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Okay. Be the change you wish to see in the world. A very famous topic by Gandhi. So for 5 minutes, if you want to think about that particular topic, what is relevancy? Like what will I write in that particular topic which will make it sound relevant? Should I talk about Gandhi? Should I talk about my own personal changes? Or should I talk about what makes it relevant? Yes or no? Science and technology is the panacea to all the problems in the country. So should I talk about science and technology in defense, or should I be talking about science and technology in whole? So what makes a particular topic or whatever content I'm going to write very relevant? How do you decide that? You get my question, right? It's a very, relevancy is a very subjective term. What is relevant to you? According to you, you might find a very interesting example. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Some of you must have heard about the story, either Gautam Buddha, Gandhi, or Vivekananda, I don't know. A mother brings the child to Gandhiji, and she asks him to tell the kid, please don't let my son eat the chocolates. Then Gandhiji will say, please come back after 1 week. Then Gandhiji will say, after 1 week, don't eat the chocolate. Then the mother will ask, why didn't you tell it one week ago? Gandhiji says, I eat chocolates, right? Or I eat sugar. If I'm eating sugar, how can I tell someone else not to eat sugar? So this is a very common story you might have heard about. Okay. So this is irrelevant for UPSC. I mean, can I start the essay with that particular topic? I mean, that particular story, anecdote? It sounds relevant, but the problem is 9 out of 10 UPSC aspirants also, if they write the same intro, don't you think it is no longer relevant? If everybody is starting with the same story, If everybody starting in the same dimension, then relevancy also changes. Everybody is getting smart, not only us, right? Everybody is smart nowadays. So every year that passes, UPSC crowd wisdom also increases. So now everybody knows, by seeing the topper copy, I have to start with a essay, a story, or a quote, or a couplet, or something like that. So I will also make notes, some quotes of Gandhi. The moment I say, be the change you wish to see in the world, I will dump that data. That means if you are dumping, everybody else is dumping, then all of us are collectively falling down again. You get the idea, right? So relevancy is something unique that only you have. For example, in your own life, most of you, when you write your minds, you will be 24, 25 in your life, right? You must have seen a lot of things. Have you ever faced a scenario where you have been the change you wish to see in the world? If you write that story, for example, someone lost a wallet, or your roommate lost a wallet or something, you helped him or something like that, even if it's a very small simple story, right? You can write that. That means your relevance is increasing. Why relevance is increasing? Because nobody else has that same story. Out of the 10,000 students writing mains that year, only that happened with you. If you write your own story or something that happened in your own life, for example, during COVID times, maybe your parents or someone you know have helped someone genuinely, going above and beyond the call of duty, like giving a lot of money to help a family, or going in the midnight to help someone, finding oxygen cylinder, something you must have done, risking your own life, or some story you must have heard, right? If you write that, you're automatically increasing the relevance. Why relevance is increasing? Because Gandhiji story is known to everyone. Gandhi's story is relevant, but at the same time, for UPSC 2022, high relevancy comes with uniqueness. Clear? I hope all of you got my what I'm trying to tell you. Whatever templated preparations that people used to suggest, lift from Yojana, write down introductions earlier only, all those things are not working any longer, because everybody is doing the same thing. So you have to show your uniqueness by increasing the relevancy. Yeah. Next. Uh, this all of you can understand, right? Arrange orderly intro, body, conclusion. Now, first of all, how do you choose a topic? There are 8 topics. The first thing that people do is, I want to do a Hatke topic. Hatke means something different, right? Hatke means something different. Out of these 4 topics, if you are writing mains this time, like if this paper is in front of you, which topic will you choose? As I told you, most people will write tourism. Okay. But in the exam hall, you might be thinking, I have to be unique. Yes or no? What will you pick if you have to be unique? 50 gold medals. That's an easy topic, right? Is it easy topic? Can India win 50 gold medals? Yes or no? One day. Okay. The problem is, you have to write, if everybody is writing like the same topic, still if you can project your uniqueness, you will actually get more scores. If everybody is writing the tourism topic, let's think about it. Okay. But the examiner felt your answer is so good that if he is giving 130 on average, he will give you 150. Because in spite of reading so many essays on the same topic, he still felt your essay was good. And the second most important thing is the sheer dimensionality. When I have to write about tourism, I can write about dimensions. Yes. uh, in every other topic, the dimensionality is very very less. So the first and golden rule in UPSC essay topic choosing, while choosing the topic, is don't pick up hatke topics just because you want to showcase yourself as a unique person. Okay. Pick what you are comfortable with, and pick what option, which essay offers most dimensions. Okay. Because see, 175 is the highest score in the recent times. Apurva Pandey 2017. Okay, she is the like topper of essay till now in the recent times. 175 marks. Every year the scaling moves up and down. But the thing is, if we target 130 also, like the base camp approach, if I have to climb Himalaya, okay, day 1 I don't start at the base, day 2 I don't reach the top, right? I will camp somewhere in middle, right? So today you haven't written a single essay. Day one I cannot expect you to get 175. Yes, so what do? We target 110. So if you write essay on any given day and you show it to any invigilator in the country, if he's giving you 110, that is your base camp, then 130. Sometimes examiner is expecting very high of you, okay? Or sometimes what happens is, if let's say I have this all India topper approach, that means let's imagine examiner is evaluating two copies back to back. First copy is all India toppers copy, okay? All India top score in essay, let's say Apurva Pandey's copy was evaluated. He was very happy with her essay, he gave 175. After that he sees your copy, okay? If you can if you make him satisfied even after reading her copy, then you are writing fantastically, okay? He has seen her copy, then he felt your copy is like worthless, okay? Then you are going to get 10 marks less than what you are supposed to get. So always assume all India topper is writing in front of you, or his or her copy will be in front of you. In spite of that, you should not get less than 135. Okay, so what do? I approach this base camp approach. That means I do all the things perfectly: intro, body, conclusions, dimensions, examples, conclusions, quotes. So I'm supposed to do everything that I'm supposed to do. Then I will get 135. Let's imagine the other way around. The worst of the worst copy has been evaluated. Some 90 guy copies have been evaluated. Then he saw your copy. He will be more happy. He might give you 140. So I'm not saying UPSC exam is that subjective, but the thing is, you still have a chance. Okay, so no matter what, you should always get 130 minimum, no matter who is evaluating. So that should be the basic approach. Yeah. Next, what makes a essay unique? Quality of dimensions and examples. What do I mean by dimensions? What are dimensions according to you? Social, economic, political, and all those things. So if I write a example, let's say, be the change you wish to see in the world. Mother Teresa is an example. She gave up everything and she started working for the poor. Swami Vivekananda, Gandhi. Yes or no? Are there dimensions? Yes or no? Mother Teresa is a dimension. Gandhiji is a dimension. Swami Vivekananda. Ashoka. Ashoka also gave up war after Kalinga. He became peaceful. But these are examples of same dimension. These are all one dimension, different examples, not different dimensions. If you think about it, we are talking about individuals who went to the extreme levels to help others. They are being the change they wish to see in the world. So they are all individual examples rather than different dimensions. I hope you understand. For example, India is having a no first use nuclear policy. That is a dimension. India is being the change it wants to see in the world. Yes, India does not have a nuclear proliferation because we have tried strict policies. That is what got us the nuclear treaty with America, right? 123 nuclear treaty. So India is always being the change it wanted to see in the world. So that is dimension. Talking about Gandhi, Mother Teresa, or six other people is one dimension, six examples. So that is the problem. When you write one dimension, multiple examples, you are not going to get scores. Clear? Even in history, if you talk about Ashoka, then Savitribai Phule, Raja Ram Mohan Rai, all these are one history dimension, three different examples. Are we clear? Yeah. Then one more problem is students read one article or one topic on the same. One of my seniors, he read this quote where we Indians, yesterday also in Hindu newspaper, I think Rajnath Singh was, doing puja or throwing flowers on the weapons. Have you seen that? In Hindu, there was a photo, I think Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, was standing in front of mission guns. He was putting some flowers on them. Okay, we buy Rafale flights from France. Okay, we break the coconut. We bring a new computer to the home. We do puja. Computer is supposed to be something very uh, like rational, mathematical. Okay, puja is something related to faith. So science and faith. So even for mission guns, India is doing puja. Okay, that is faith. I hope you understand. So he read something like that, and he saw an essay in UPSC about science and faith. Then he wrote the introduction part. Like, even if we buy computers, we do puja, we break the coconut. After that, you wrote the intro, fine, fantastic. After that, you still have to fill 1,000 words. Yes or no? So the moment you see a particular topic, we will always have a bias. We feel like we know, right? But the problem is, unless and until you don't have a crystal clear idea on the entire dimensions, you should not, or you are not supposed to pick up a particular topic. Okay, don't fall into that particular trap. Next. Yeah. And sometimes you might be traveling in the city, you must be seeing kids playing on the side of the footpath. Yes, do you stop and think, like, why this, what is the problem? Sometimes we might get some questions, right? For example, during COVID pandemic, stock markets broke all time high records. On the one hand side, we are seeing COVID pandemic, like stock market is reaching new heights. On the left hand side, we see people dying on the roads because of lack of oxygen. So how do we explain that contradiction? Is the Indian economy growing? Government is saying Indian economy is collapsing because of COVID, we have to open up the lockdown, collapsing. On the left hand side, stock market is reaching new highs. What explains that contradiction? Right? If you have normally thought about that particular thing, okay, that develops a new perspective. So all such perspectives can be used in the essay writing. So most of you must be watching movies. Yes or no? Quentin Tarantino, have you seen Reservoir Dogs? No. Article 15, Pink. You must have heard about all these movies, right? Tappad, Rashmi Racket, or whatever. So all these movies also teach you a lot of things. You can use that knowledge in the essays. What I'm trying to tell you is, whatever you read in the books is just theoretical knowledge. What you see in the society or what you apply in the society is more realistic. All of you must have seen Olympics, right? Followed Olympics. Indians women hockey went to semi-finals. They lost in the semi-finals, I think, quarter-finals. They lost in the quarter-finals. So what is so special about it? Any idea? So see, I'm talking about point number 4. For essay, you have to tell a story. Telling story is very important. Essay is all about storytelling, right? You are taking a particular topic from starting to ending, you are telling a uniqueness. Be the change you wish to see in the world. That was a topic we were using as a reference. Most of the girls who went into Indian hockey till the quarterfinals are from Naxal affected areas, are from the poorest families, Dantewada, Chhattisgarh. Okay, so girls from tribal areas, when given infrastructure, okay, they were able to achieve miracles. Probably if they have got more training or more support or luck favored them, they would have even brought a bronze medal for India. Yes. So instead of crying, a IAS officer, like there is no infrastructure, a IAS officer Vinil Krishna, with the support of the chief minister of Odisha, created a hockey academy in Odisha. That led to all this miracle. Because of we have a change. So instead of complaining that India will not grow, India will never develop, India is like this only, he worked to create an atmosphere where hockey medals are probable. Now that we have understood that, that actually creates a chance for India, more states will follow the suit. That is a perspective. You are not struggling to learn an essay topic, you are just seeing the society as it is. You are seeing a bureaucrat doing his fantastic work. Yes or no? The same Vinil Krishna is the person who was kidnapped by Naxals in 2009 or 10. So instead of giving up on that particular area, he became the change he wanted to see in the world. I can mold that particular context into whatever I want to fit it. Yes or no? Did I prepare? Did I read it in some book? No. It's simple thing in the newspaper. So that's all about perspective. So that means if you have that eye, yes sir, uh, I hope you understand. If you have that perspective, automatically essay writing becomes very easy and examples will come to you naturally. Yes, you must have helped someone. That is also a change. So as long as you don't develop that perspective or you don't write that unique voice, whatever you are doing is called as data dumping. Data dumping will never get marks. Why? There is no feel, there is no emotion, there is no value system behind you. And that is how UPSC links your essays to ethics case study. For example, 2017 there was a question which says you are going to UPSC interview, You saw someone meeting an accident on the road. Someone met with accident on the road. Will you go to the interview or will you stop and help that particular person? That is a test of value system. Yes or no? So that means every day you go through a lot of process. For example, Article 15. We see that particular movie related to casteism. Is still caste prevalent in India? Yes. So we have to observe what is happening in any part of the country. You have to observe it. So the more you observe you, the more you develop as a person. That person is going to write that essay. That perspective will always be unique. I hope you understand. 10,000 people watch Olympics, but only UPSC aspirants have the opportunity to look it from a whole different perspective. Everybody is bothered about scores, but we are understanding the root cause why we even got that further. Yes, sir. If you see the Naxal story, 1960s, Dantewada, Chhattisgarh, it is called Heart of the Naxal area. In 2021, girls from that particular area are bringing medals to India. Just imagine the change that has happened. Yes, that perspective has to be developed, and that is what makes you a good essay writer, or else it will be very monotonous. Think about it. Everybody will read the same material. If everybody is reading what everybody else is reading, how can you be unique? You won't even have a different unique examples. So I have mentioned urban flooding. How many of you know what is a sponge city? Sponge city. Urban flooding I have mentioned in the beginning, right? Hyderabad is facing urban flooding scenario. Okay. So what is sponge cities? What are sponge cities? How do they help India? Or is there a case study that we can emulate? Is there any country which is following the sponge city concept? Yes. Yes, which country? Any idea? China. Okay, what are sponge cities? Mm. So how uniquely are we going to do that? Apply that is what makes your essay unique. If you just write urban flooding, National Disaster Management Act, you're just soulless. But if you actually think about the problem in a holistic fashion, you are bringing a lot of change. Clear? Yes. Next, the most important thing in the entire essay writing is brainstorming. So I have used the pink color for hero. Normally we have a stereotype. Blue is for boys, pink is for girls. So if you observe such trivial things, okay, so it makes your essay interesting, or else you will be just going with the flow. What is thesis statement? Why is it important? Any idea?
What you are going to tell in
Okay.
entire essay.
Again, think of a philosophical topic. Be the change you wish to see in the world. So if you have to write that particular essay, from whose perspective will you write it? Your own perspective on a individual level. Yes or no? That means you are going to write it from one person point of view. So examiner is expecting different dimensions like individual, family, society, community, state, nation, and at a universal level. So these are the dimensions that examiner is expecting. From which topic? Be the change you wish to see in the world. Why? Before your copy, he evaluated All India Toppers copy. She wrote 8 dimensions. Be the change from individual, family perspective, society perspective, community, nation, state, like this. Different dimensions. You, on the other hand, have a whole different understanding of the topic. Be the change means I am thinking only about individual level. But within individual, I am thinking as a friend, brother, sister, mother, whatever. So I am adding values to dimensions to individual, whereas the topper has added dimensions to the entire topic itself. Difference you understood, right? You are thinking like individual, but individual and different roles. I'm a tribal, I'm a Dalit, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim. Like this, I'm adding dimensions to individual, but the topper has added to individual, society, family, like this, different dimensions. So after reading her copy, examiner is having this benchmark. Whatever you have written is not wrong thing, but according to him, your benchmark is this. You are here. So he was expecting this. When he started reading, he is feeling here. Okay. If you write thesis statement in the introduction itself, thesis statement means in this essay, I am going to discuss about individual from different perspective. That means you have set the benchmark at this level. You are bringing the examiner expectations also to this level. whatever you have promised, are you justifying that or not? He will check that. If you don't write thesis statement, he will expect here, and no matter how much well you have written, he will still feel it is subpar. So thesis statement is like a metro map. When you come to Hyderabad city for the first time, you don't know where in, any place is. You see the metro map and you know I have to take the blue line and I will reach my particular destination. In the same way, when you write a thesis statement, the examiner will come to a perspective. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to expect from this particular person's essay. Okay, he won't punish you for not writing different dimensions like the topper, but he will punish you if you have promised individual dimensions and not justify that also. You got the idea, right? So thesis statement is a benchmark that you are setting for the examiner. This is how I'm going to tackle this particular topic. Science and technology is the panacea for all the problems in the country. In the thesis statement, if I write science is a, what are the advantages of science, what are the disadvantages of science, and what are the steps to be taken. If I write these three questions in the thesis statement, what will examiner be expecting? Examiner will be expecting, okay, he will write the problems first, issues next, and the solutions. He is having a clear cut roadmap. That is the importance of thesis statement. You may not write a thesis statement in normal topics, but in philosophical essays, it is highly recommended that you write a thesis statement. You get the idea, right? Because philosophy is open-ended. Okay, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Or simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. 2020 topic. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. If I don't write a thesis statement, anything is open to interpretation. But if I write a thesis statement, that will set the roadmap for the examiner. He will be thinking only in that particular dimension. Clear? Right. And second advantage of thesis statement is you can write 4 or 5 GS answers in the name of essay. How? What is simplicity? Why achieving simplicity is sophistication? Yes. What are the hurdles in achieving simplicity? What are the solutions to achieve simplicity? I have written 4 questions. Think about it. 4 questions, 200 words. My essay is 800 words is done. Intro to 100 words, conclusion 100 words. 1100 words I am writing very easily. You get the idea, right? So thesis is sub questions or subheadings. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. First of all, I have to define what is simplicity. That is one question. What is, why it is difficult to achieve simplicity? How can I achieve simplicity? Not only achieving simplicity, I have to maintain it and I have to make it applicable. So in this way, if I bifurcate my essay topic into 4 or 5 sub questions, I can tackle them very easily. And while I'm brainstorming, I know exactly what points I have to look under that particular question. Clear? Yes. Right. For example, this is the brainstorming page of Tina Dabi copy. Okay. So if you see, this is one way. This is not the best way. I will show you Shubham Kumar's copy also. But think about it. Poverty is the worst form of violence. Okay. So the examiner himself is giving me a hint. It was mentioned by Gandhi, right? So I have to use some Gandhi related words. Okay, then poverty is the worst form of violence. So first of all, if you think about a thesis statement, what is poverty? Okay, why it's a worst form of violence? What are the factors that are perpetuating the poverty? From Indira Gandhi Garibi Hatao till Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana 1960 to 2021, poverty is still there in the country. Why is poverty prevailing? I have to write that also. Yes. Then what is the bureaucratic mindset? Solutions. The most important thing in the entire topic is solutions. If I'm not finding solutions in your topic, then I'm not going to reward you. Yes or no? From Indira Gandhi till now, I know there is poverty. What I'm expecting from you is solutions to poverty. So when you read that particular topic, what can be the thesis statement? What is poverty? Why is it worst form of violence? Yes. Why is it worst form of violence? Yes. How does it hurt the society? And what are the solutions, or what are the steps taken till now? 4 questions. I can write that essay. Yes. See, this is one more way to brainstorm. the same above topic, she had again summarized it like this. What did she do? She wrote the thesis statement here. On the left hand side, if you see, the thesis statement has been summarized. Okay, once I summarize the thesis statement, it's easy for me to find the points. If I have to think about poverty, I have to think in a particular perspective, right? What are the steps taken by government to remove poverty? Only then I will find the right points, or else I can find everything and anything about the poverty, then it won't be a structured answer. So thesis statement helps you to narrow down the topics, right? So individual, she has written 4 dimensions. Then I can take it to society level, I can take it to international level, I can link poverty and terrorism. Yes or no? Poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. So all these people who are radicalized can also be linked to poverty. Why are we not allowing Rohingyas into the country? they, they are poor people. If they are not taken care, there is a high chance of radicalizing them. So that's also a security risk. So like that, I can link poverty to multiple dimensions and why it is a worst form of violence. Okay. Yeah. In the same way, if you see this year All India toppers copy, this is Shubham Kumar's copy. So he also has done the same thing, brainstorming. That is the importance of brainstorming. So he is writing a prototype essay, like social, economical, political, environmental. Within social, women, tribal, children, health. So dimensions, then sub dimensions. I am thinking everything in the brainstorming page. So in the real exam, you will have 3 hours, 1.5 hour per one essay. So first 25 minutes is supposed to be used for brainstorming. 25 minutes for brainstorming, 55 minutes for writing, and 5 minutes for underlining, error correction, or whatever. So that is how you are supposed to approach. That means you should be so sharp that within 25 minutes you should choose a topic from section A, brainstorm like this, and then arrange the points in a logical fashion. So you think about it, it's like, the Indian concept of muhurtam. Why do we keep muhurtas? On that particular day you are going to do something, means you will focus all your energies in and around that particular date. If you don't have a deadline, then what will we do? We keep postponing, dragging it, right? So in the same way, if you write a thesis statement, when you brainstorm here if you write the 4 or 5 questions, 1 2 3 4 questions, brainstorm, okay, then you can find points for all these things very easily. What are the problems of poverty? What are the why poverty hurts, or what are the solutions? Then the balance, then solutions part I can write here. I can brainstorm only for solutions. I can only write for why poverty is still continuing, right? Like that. Okay. So again, this is also how he has summarized his entire essay: intro, body, conclusion. Okay, that means it's like a blueprint. Before writing the real essay in the rough page, he has thought of everything he is going to write. So why does this help? Because it's like a bird's eye view, right? Before writing itself, you are looking at that copy and okay, intro I'm writing body, social issues, political issues, economical issues. Then you will realize this is a woman essay. First I have to write social issues, then only I will go into economic dimensions. In a woman topic, you don't write economy problems first, you write social problems first. So brainstorming helps you to understand what are you doing and how to bring the points very easily, right? Okay, next. So remember the quote that applies even to GS also. I have shared it multiple times. He's third ranker in 2011. So give cool drink to the examiner. So when he sees your particular essay topic, he should feel like, you know this is a very good copy. He should feel very happy. Now what do we understand? Two things: primacy and recency effect. Have you seen Inglorious Bastards? No, but Tarantino. Okay. Have you seen this movie Aravinda Sameta recently? Yes or no? If you are from Telugu states, you must have seen a movie called as Aravinda Sameta by NTR. He tells a story. There is a girl. She is studying because of sunstroke. She suffered. There was no transportation. right? So every time you see a good movie, either Shawshank Redemption or anything, okay, the story always starts with a very good introduction. That means the first impression is the best impression. So examiner's attention is only 15 minutes. He's paid to evaluate your copy. Unlike us who wants you to improve, his only job is to give you scores. He will judge you. He will see a roll number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He doesn't know whether it's a boy or a girl. He puts that number and whatever that particular person has written, he has to judge you. And he will spend maximum 15 minutes on your essay, and he is given 10 copies. If you bore him to death, he's already not invested in your success. Okay, but if you bore him to death, he won't even read your essay properly. So the what is the first thing you should do? The first thing you should do is hook his attention. Higher you hook his attention, the better your score. Why? You are telling, of all the boring copies, I have potential, please focus 2 more minutes on me. And you are telling it indirectly through your introduction. So if your introduction is bland, like a saltless curry, okay, expect less scores. But if your introduction is very good, okay, expect better scores. That is called as primacy and recency effects. Nobody will remember how the body part went. Okay, everybody will remember how the intro and conclusions are there. I mean, body part obviously has to have dimensions and all those things, but it only has a moderate influence. But if your introduction is big bang and if your conclusion is very good, you can expect no less than 145 bumper score. But if your introduction itself is starting in a low pedestal, okay, probability is very low that you will get a good score,
ముందు అయిపోయినా నాకు క్లాస్ లో ఎక్స్పెక్ట్
right?
అవ్వదు
And you can cross check this with any toppers copies. Most of the toppers have wonderful introductions.
క్లాస్ లో వింటున్నా మరి
Okay, so that is what I call as, I mean, it's science, not me. It's primacy and recency effects. Okay, so in the movie also, if the movie starts with a very good intro and ends with a very laugh experience, when you come out of the movie theater, you feel like, okay, something is good. You forget about the body part, ups and downs, but conclusion is very good. You feel happy. Yes or no? If you don't believe me, think about Shawshank Redemption. Have you seen that movie, Shawshank Redemption? It's #1 in IMDb, right? The movies, according to many people, goes like this. In the climax, it goes something like this. Okay, so people are very happy. Why? Climax is like Big Bang, out of the world. Okay, so that is the beauty of primacy and recency effects. So always remember, your introduction plays a huge role in your scores. Okay, and conclusion should also be optimum. Sometimes what we do is we go out of the syllabus, we will write something what is not written, and we expect, I should get a fantastic score. I can show you at least 15 people who got 140 plus earlier attempts, and next attempts they got 100 to 90s. There is no guarantee that if you get 140 in 1 year, you will get 140 every year. You have to work every year. Even Anudip Durisetti got 90 in his first essay. Okay, in his last attempt when he got all India rank, he got 150. He worked very hard for that. So growth is inevitable. If you work on it, you can improve. But if you take UPSC essay for granted, it will punish you no matter how much knowledge you have. Okay. Next, the most obvious way to introduce an essay is the story. Yes or no? I told you. So again, this is from Shubham Kumar's copy. He wrote a very simple story. He wrote about the 14th century bubonic plague. The context is 2021, we have COVID pandemic. He's telling a story. Think about it. Every time we discuss something, we remember in stories. Ancient Indians were very wise, right? They know that if we teach morals and values, we don't remember. That is why they told Ramayana and Mahabharata. When we read Ramayana and Mahabharata, it's like stories. Yes or no? As a kid, you must have seen during Ganapati Visarjan festivals, there were some WhatsApp forwards also. Kids were hugging the Ganesh idol. They were crying that they don't want to send him away. Okay, as a kid, you develop that affection to that monkey god or that Ganesha, elephant-faced god. It's something unique, interesting. Then they will put values in that particular character, or they will show you the values in the particular character. You will remember values like loyalty. Lord Hanma is very loyal to Lord Rama. So that is a value system that you are imbibing from culture. That's one perspective to look at. If I tell you you have to be loyal, as a kid probably won't understand it, but if I tell you through a story format, you will appreciate it more. So UPSC essay is also the same way. If you tell anything through a context, through a story, it will make more sense. Okay. Right. This is one more story. The topic was sustainable development. The topic was sustainable development. I can tell it in a very boring fashion. Sustainable development means we have to take care of the resources. Resources are limited. But how did he write it? It's also a story. Why? Out of all the boring copies, at least I have to grab your attention. So it's a very simple story. It's a story that everybody knows. This is Bhavesh Mishra's copy. He got 50 something rank. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is, write your introductions in a way that it will keep my attention or the examiner's attention. Clear? Yeah. Next. Do you know why Operation 1974 is called as Buddha Smiling Buddha? There was a 1974, right? We tested the nuclear weapons, so it is called as Operation Smiling Buddha. Why is it called as a Smiling Buddha? That is an anecdote. So you can also start your introductions with anecdotes. Anecdotes means they are stories told by people from their own life experiences. So this is from Raja Ramana's diary. He tells why it is called as Operation Smiling Buddha. You can read it from here to here. So so the moment you write something like that from book reviews or anything, it sounds very interesting. So in spite of reading so many times after writing mains, still most of us don't know this story. But if you write this as an anecdote, don't you think the examiner will be very happy? You hooked his attention at least for 2 minutes. In UPSC world, hooking anybody's attention for 2 more minutes is a great achievement. Clear? Yeah, right. Then this is, I think, this is also from Shubham Kumar only. He started with Ardhashastra. The topic was about digital infrastructure and governance. He started with a simple quote: "In the happiness of his subjects lies the king's happiness." All of us know the story. All of us have heard the quote multiple times. But he is using the quote as an introduction for essay. So introductions can be stories. Introductions can be anecdotes. Introductions can be quotes also. It depends on how you are trying to use the attention of the particular topic. This is one more way to start introductions. You write a quote and you go on to explain the particular keywords. Yeah. Yes. And please notice the neatness of that copy also. There are no strike offs. It's very neat. Neatness shows clarity of thought. If I look at your essay from top to bottom, if I'm just skimming it like this, okay, I will have an impression that this person has a very good flow of thought. If I see a lot of strike offs, randomization, there is no standardization, I will definitely know whether you are prepared or not. Okay, so the cleaner your essay, the more chances of getting high scores also. And remember, UPSC essay is a low hanging fruit. If you work like for GS paper 1, okay, you might get 90 to 110. There are no chances, there are no guarantees that you can go beyond that. But if you work on UPSC essay, if you get 160, okay, if your peers are getting 130, you have 30 mark edge in one paper alone. And you don't have to do a lot of things for UPSC essay. All you have to do is simplify. And there is one more way to start essays recently. It's the couplets, the poems. Everybody is a poet nowadays, right? So it might work for some people. It worked for Apurva Pandey. It may or may not work for you. So if you are good at English, like if your English is very flowery and all those things, you can try writing it in a code based fashion, or else you can stick to the traditional story method. Story method still works fantastically. This is Mitali Seth. She got 116 essay. Copying her, Apurva Pandey wrote an introduction. She got 175. So toppers will teach others. I mean, if you have that particular perspective, this is one of the very nice introductions. This one, that you can see the topic, right? The topic is where women are respected, gods resides. Okay, read this. I think it's contextual, 100% contextual. Nobody can deny context. Readable. Loudspeakers are glaring near a Durga Pandal. Okay, there is this Navaratri going on. Durga Pandal is there. Okay, we are celebrating the feminine worship goddess. Okay, just a few feet away from that particular thing, local maternity home, dogs are relishing on their female fetus. Okay, that means she's comparing. On the left hand side we celebrate Durga Mata, on the right hand side we throw away the girl child or the fetus, infanticide, foeticide, and all these things are right. So how do you explain that contradiction? And this is the introduction. And nobody in the right mind in India can not think about this or understand this. Yes or no? It happens to every one of us. So she is not writing some out of the world context. She is writing something which even a layman can understand. And she has summarized it in such a nice fashion. Puja on the one hand side, throwing away baby on the left hand side. This you don't even have to have UPSC preparation. Even if you show it to an auto driver, he will understand the context. Simplicity is very powerful thing. Yes or no? We try to complicate things, facts, numbers, and all those things, but tell the stories in the most simplest fashions, and you will still be rewarded. Clear? Next. Okay. So this is one more way to start an introduction. This is by Bhavesh Mishra. So superstition is something that we hear. The booming market of superstition in India. That was the topic. So how did he start? He started with questions. Yes, the first one applies to most of us, right? Most of. So what should you do? You should go to the nearest Baba. See, again, why am I showing you these things? Is because see, it's not that they have tried to do something else. This is something we see every day. If you open TV, in the ads they will show you. Okay, do you know full moon is coming, new moon is coming, buy this, buy this gem, buy this stone. But the thing is, they have seen it just like us, but they have used it in an introduction. That creativity can be copied. I hope you understand. So we must have seen so many things. For example, people are selling a lot of things. For example, during COVID pandemic time also, these superstitions have increased a lot. Yes or no? If you don't want COVID in your home, buy this yantra and tie it in front of your home. COVID won't come. And people have actually purchased it that. Yes. So if there is a essay topic like developing scientific temper, you can use that. But at least you should know that I need to have that thought process to use this. So that is what topper copies will teach you. It's very simple, right? But it, at the same time, very effective. Next, one more way to introduce your essay is dialogue format. It's also very simple. What is dialogue format? It's a discussion between two people. Two people are discussing about sustainable development. So husband is justifying his laziness as a carbon neutral day. If I don't do anything, it's carbon neutral. Yes. That is also one way to introduce your essay. So what I'm trying to tell you is, again, all this is for our primacy and recency effect. The more creative or innovative your introduction is, the higher your chances to get a good score. And you don't have to struggle. All you need to know is, I can write like this. Point number one. First, you came to know that I can write like this. Second thing is, whatever you do in your day-to-day life, you can apply them. You also must have seen all the same things. The only thing is, are you applying them to the UPSC or not? Okay. Yes. And last way of intro is context based. This is from Anudeep's copy. He talks about a story, climate change. So climate change, no challenge poses a greater challenge to the future than climate change. That is the topic. That means climate change is the biggest threat of all. So instead of telling yes, Anthropocene, climate change, we are going to die, right? He simply wrote two stories. One is of a child, the other one is of a farmer. He's telling these people will suffer because of climate change. So she's 7 now. When she grows up, she won't have probably a job. If a farmer is there, probably he won't have agriculture. He's showing you something from a real life contextualization of the topic. So this is how you start your introductions. Again, don't worry about what is there. I will share the PDF. You can read the copies also. I will also share the Google Drive of all the copies. The thing is, I want you to understand introductions or SS scoring is not some rocket science. The first picture is simple but not easy. You have to have that common sense to use day-to-day stories into the basic application. Right. Next. So once we are done with the introductions, we should move on to the body part. Now this is the unsung hero of the entire essay, because this takes around 60% of your essay writing capacity, or the space. What is body? Body is where you show your analysis. Introduction is creativity. Body part is analytical ability. Analytical abilities are a little bit difficult to be polished, but you can simplify them. How? For example, if I want to write an essay about urbanization, what will I write? I can start with the introduction by saying some family came to Hyderabad. That is urbanization. Everybody is moving to Hyderabad. Okay. From there onwards, how are they facing the problems? What are the problems they face in Hyderabad? Rapid urbanization. First of all, I will stay in slum. Right. So all this is body part. Then I will also write the solutions. What are the solutions provided by the state? So body is where you get to showcase either issues or solutions or analyze things. Okay. And it can be done in cycles. As I have mentioned here, you have to either use life cycle or situation approach. What is life cycle approach? If I have to talk about a woman's problem in India, I will start from feticide, infanticide. Before I am born itself, I am killed. Then as a girl child, then as an adolescent, then as a teenager, adolescent teenager, right? Then married woman, then dependent on the family, widowed people, single mothers. So there are different cycles in a woman's life. So I can discuss about all those personalities. So normally when we write social dimensions, be the change you wish to see in the world. What do you want to change? What do you want? Or India you want to see in 2050? There can be topics like India you want to see in 2050. This is also a very interesting topic. So if I want to see India in 2050, I will write about women. But the problem is, if I write women not as a homogeneous group, but there are different groups within women, right? The problems of tribal women are different from Dalit women, or are a working woman, right? The problems are different for single mothers also, right? Security is different for working women. The security threat is different. For someone who is staying in the house is a totally different thing. That means if I add more dimensions in the body part, or if I add a life cycle approach, like from birth to death, it adds more dimensions to the topic. Or else if I just write woman as one dimension, because Spellic approach, there are so many approaches for UPSC essay. If I take women as a homogeneous group, I'm doing a huge disservice to my own essay and my entire thinking process, because it offers a huge amount of diversity. Clear? Next, again, as I told you, if I start the be the change you wish to see in the world and write it only from individual point of view, what will be the problem? My thought process is very narrow. But if I expand it from individual all the way till Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the highest level. That is the humanitarian level. That means the entire world is one. That is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. But from individual to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, there are so many layers. For example, family. Yes, communities, societies, then states, nation states, and international groupings like UN. If UN wants to preach world peace, it has to reform itself first. Yes or no? So that is the change you should be. Be the change you wish to see in the world. I will link it to UNSC reforms. Yes or no? I can link it to families. So like this, the more dimensions we add within the body part, the more interesting your essay will be. Next. Again, as I told you, you will understand this if you write essays more. Don't worry about the body part. And most important thing is essay has to be balanced. What is balanced? You don't have to totally criticize. For example, India 50 medals. If you worst case scenario, if you are writing that essay, India is useless, hopeless. India will never win 50 Olympics. We will go total in that flow. In one paragraph, we will write India will do well. But your essay, if you are writing 4 pages of negatives, you also should write at least 3 pages of positives. That is a balanced essay. Or else, if you write 4 pages of essay and only 1 page of solutions, that is not a balanced essay. So how much you are criticizing, the same amount of solutions should also be offered. Only then it is a balanced essay. Next. This is one approach that toppers suggest. Spelling approach, social, political, environmental. I cannot even remember that particular dimensions. I may or may not recollect all those things. What I do very simply is go to the UPSC syllabus copy. This is just for reference. This is for simple understanding. This is your UPSC syllabus copy, right? Indian heritage. For example, take India I want to see in 2050. I am writing this particular essay. I thought of an introduction. I thought of an introduction that a tribal from Northeast has become the prime minister of the country or president of the country. He has unfurled the red flag. So that is my introduction, because that is the India I want to see. Then I entered the body part. I'm not getting any points. Polity, history. I'm not remembering anything. Then what will I do? I will simply go to the UPSC syllabus copy in my mind. Then I will think, is there anything that I want to see in Indian culture and heritage that should change? Yes. Is there anything that I want to see in Indian society that should change? Yes. I don't want to see caste discrimination by 2050 in India. Yes. I don't want patriarchy to suffocate more children. I want the child sex ratio to be very well. So all these are society problems only. So am I struggling to recollect the points? No. All I have to do is think the topic and syllabus copy. Yes. I don't want the culture and history to be used for further communalization. Yes. I don't want the falling child sex ratio. Patriarchy should not be too prevalent, or women should be allowed to get higher education. Then casteism should not be there. Like this, I will think of different examples from society. What about geography? Can I link anything to Indian geography? India 2050 and geography? Yes, probably I will link it to blue economy. Yes or no? Or India is so well prepared that we are not affected by disasters anymore. The geographical proximity is there because of cyclones and all these things. We are severely affected. So India is very well prepared. In the same way, polity, social justice, governance, international relations. We have harmonized the border relations with China. Yes. So like this, if I take the syllabus copy, I can get more dimensions. This is only in brainstorming. I'm not saying you should write all these points. If you don't get any points on any given topic, just think about the UPSC syllabus, right? Just think about the UPSC syllabus, dump all the points that you can think of. Within them, pick any 8 topics. Your body part is done. Yes or no? I hope you understand. The same you can do for women also. If there is a women topic, Indian culture and heritage, what happened? Sati was there. Society, what are the problems? Social justice, what are the problems? Polity, what are the government steps taken? What are the schemes for women. What are the constitutional provisions for women? I don't write anything related to women and geography. Yes or no? But I can use the rest of the points. So the more I use the syllabus copy, the more dimensions I automatically get. I don't have to remember any specific order also. It's very easy, right? And you'll get more points. For example, how technology is helping women. Yes, or how environment change or disaster management severely affects women. If there is a drought, the men won't be going to fetch the water. It will be the women who will be facing the severe issues. Like this, I can link a lot of topics to syllabus copy, and my dimensions automatically increased or decreased. Automatically it will increase, and it will show the examiner that you can think from multiple points of view. For example, again, as I told you in the starting, if you are a district collector, if you have to impose lockdown, if you think about social dimension, social justice, am I going to help the last man in the line? Who is the last man in the line? Some rickshaw puller. Okay, is lockdown going to affect him? Definitely yes. So is there any provision to help him? Yes. So that is how you find a problem and you also find a solution. 2 points. You understood, very simple, right? So this is one way to improve the dimensionality of your body part. Next is stakeholders. We have already discussed that. Solutions. When we come to solutions in UPSC, most aspirants think that there is only one way to approach the solutions, but there are four ways to approach the solutions part. First is you are a district collector, okay, or you are the prime minister of a country. You cannot go and write, I will shut down Indus Water Treaty. As a prime minister of India, can I shut down Indus Water Treaty? Is it a tap? Can I turn off Indus? Okay, no water to Pakistan. Is it happening? Even if I have to stop water to Pakistan, it will take 20 years for me to construct that dam. Okay, so you have to be very realistic. You cannot write, I will get 50 beds in the hospital. You think all those district collectors were hopeless? They were also people limited by resources, right? They were not gods to create oxygen cylinders overnight. So first of all, the most important thing is you have to be realize that whatever is within my capacity, that has to be done efficiently and effectively. Whatever resources available to you, is it being done efficiently and effectively? Next, you have to be realistic. You cannot write, I will construct 150 bed hospital between wave 1 and wave 2. You can probably arrange a temporary 1000 bed hospital, but you cannot construct a hospital. So being realistic is the most important thing. And the third one is best practices. So if you are writing 10 solutions, okay, you are writing which is already being done, right, which is being realistic. For example, there are 2 districts. You can take the help of the surrounding districts. That is something realistic. I can ask let's say you are writing a topic about floods. Okay, a particular geographical area is landlocked. It doesn't have any flood problem. I will take the personnel in that particular district to help me. That is something realistic. At least I can try. Okay. In the same way, if someone is doing best practices, sponge cities, as I told you. Okay. Or I think one collector from Rajasthan, I think Rajesh, I forgot his name, Rajendra, I guess. He implemented these oxygen plants very nicely in his district. That is a best practice. When India was recovering from first wave, he installed more oxygen plants in his particular district. So when second wave come, his district was least affected, and they have extra vacant beds. That is a best practice. So in third wave, what should I do? I should emulate that. In my district, I will take that particular plan and implement it. That is best practice. So within solutions also, you are open to adaptation. You are not only using your own brain, you are also learning from best practices, either internationally or locally. If you take Bangladesh, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, I mean, we have Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, but we did not enforce the mask rule. In Bangladesh, what they have done is they have added a instruction paper along with the masks in vernacular languages, telling people why wearing mask is very important. Saying wear mask is one thing, and pictorially informing them in a vernacular language has more impact. That is successful in Bangladesh. So if I adapt that to India, more people will use masks, right? Probably, at least I can try, because if you see Paytm or Amazon, everybody is launching vernacular apps. Why? because English is not so prevalent as much as we think, but mother tongues, Telugu, Hindi, uh, like Kannada, so these people will impact will be very high. So that is also best practice. So whenever you launch something as a government scheme or something, vernacular language will create more impact than just national level mediums. So that is also best practice we can adopt. Like this you can always think. And the last one is the Dhoni's approach. That means there is always scope for improvement. Criticism is very easy. Criticism is very easy. If a collector is not doing his job, there might be 10,000 reasons which we don't know. Or if the nation is not performing optimally, there is something that we don't know at the ground level. So there is always scope to improve things. If somebody is doing something good, he can always do it better. So solutions can be written in these four ways, right? So that means if you write 10 solutions, if you write two for each also, your essay is 8 paragraphs done. Think about each and every solution as a paragraph. What will happen? 8 paragraphs. Very easy. Right? And next thing, always stay within the parameter of the constitution or law. Think about it. Tomorrow you become a district collector. You write an essay or you write an article. It will be published in your district editions. Everybody in the district will read. You have to be very realistic. In the same way, whenever you write an essay, you have to understand three things. What are the rules and laws? What is the constitutional limitation? And what is the role there? As long as you don't cross the constitution, you are always safe, and your answers will also sound very realistic, or your solutions will sound very realistic, because utopian is very easy to us. India should become the nuclear superpower by 2050. Yes or no? India should become the nuclear superpower by 2050. Is it that easy? Aren't there any other obligations? So what role is India playing? We want to become nuclear superpower for energy security, not through world domination. We don't want weapons. We want nuclear energy for energy security. In that context, if you write that point, that is fine. But if you are writing India should be nuclear superpower in defense sector, we are contradicting our own legal stand. Yes or no? Or we should cut the ties with Palestine. If you write, as a solution in the flow, students will write, we should cut the ties with Palestine, or we should stop talking to Myanmar. So all these are very silly, because Indian government's official stand is we support two-state policy, Israel and Palestine. You cannot go and suggest to people that we should stop talking to Palestine. Did you get the difference? So students sometimes go overboard without actually realizing that there is a law, there is a government stand. I have to write within the particular parameter. There is a constitution. Clear? Let's say, for example, lockdown in Jammu and Kashmir. Internet has been suspended. Okay. Yes, internet suspension should be extended. That is not a solution. That should be the last solution. That means unless and until you don't know Anuradha Basin judgment, Anuradha Basin versus Union of India judgment, you cannot write a solution which is under the legal frame. Supreme Court of India is okay with the internet bans, but it should be the last resort, not the first resort. When you write your essay solutions, it should not be the first point. Clear? I mean, I'm just giving you a perspective, right? And one more thing is opposite dimensions. Sometimes you can take a different stand from the given topic, totally opposite to the given topic. Haste makes for waste. If there is a topic something like haste makes for waste, that means if you are too eager to do something, it will lead to wastage. Okay, then we will write the entire essay in one dimension, like not all the times haste will make for waste, etc., etc. Then you can take a stand where you are supporting the statement. Just before the conclusion, you throw a anti dimension where you say sometimes if we are not proactive, that leads to more wastage. Okay, so the entire essay you are trying to rebalance that statement. Haste makes waste. Yes, haste is wastage. Okay, we should plan carefully, we should think logically and all those things. But just before conclusion, you are writing an alternative dimension. What is that alternative dimension? It says haste when not done for some things will lead to wastage. For example, electric vehicle policy. If you are not proactively investing in electric vehicle policy, that will lead to more problems for the world. So haste in electric vehicle policy is a good thing. Just for example sake, again you can argue that in mechanics and all those people unemployment will increase, but the thing is, as a whole for the planet, electric vehicle policy is more important. Yes. So like this, opposite or alternative dimensions can also be included. Are we clear? Right. And last one is the most important thing in the entire topic is conclusion, right? As I have showed you, primacy and recency effect. Conclusion is also equally important. Conclusion should be very optimistic. Okay, no matter the what the topic is, conclusion should always end in a very very optimistic tone. You should not have any doubts. You should not conclude with a question. You should conclude with a stand, preferably a positive stand, that we will grow. Sometimes the topic will be about India. You have to write in such a way that examiner should get goosebumps, right? And he should believe that India is going to be a real superpower. Unless you believe that, you cannot put it on the paper, right? So conclusion should always be optimistic. Let's say there is a topic: can India become a $5 trillion economy? Can India become a $5 trillion economy? You have listed all the problems of Indian economy, then you have suggested some solutions. India can become a $5 trillion economy, but your conclusion should be, if these steps are taken, okay, there is no doubt that India will become a $5 trillion economy. That firm stand should be there, and you should be optimistic in the hope. Unless, see, if as a district collector, if you don't have optimism and hope, how can you motivate others? In the COVID pandemic, you cannot shut down everything and lock yourself inside, right? You have to be optimistic. I will take care of my district. I will be more proactive. Your body language will be read by your subordinates. So if you don't have that optimism in your mindset itself, how are you going to reflect it on the paper? So conclusion is an area which should always end, most often not in very very optimistic fashion, and in a future oriented way. So intro, body, conclusion. Intro is very creative. Intro should be creative and interesting. Conclusion should be optimistic. And nowadays the recent trend is to end it with Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Not everything ends with Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, right? So there are multiple ways to end the introduction. For example, you can end with a quote. The present government policy will make sure that India becomes a $5 trillion economy or beyond. So we will always make sure that the conclusion says we are going to go there, no doubt about it. Okay, it might take like 1 or 2 years more than what we have planned, but there is no doubt in your mind or in the reader's mind that India will not end up being a $5 trillion economy. So such kind of optimism is very much needed. I will this yeah. So if you see this particular conclusion also, he says the same thing. Let us come together. For example, if someone is asking to write you about global peace, there is no doubt, or there should not be any doubt in your mind, that global peace cannot be achieved. Sir, how can we achieve peace? India and Pakistan itself are fighting. India, Myanmar are fighting. You can show me 10,000 issues. Okay, but when he ended this particular topic, he is ending it with a positive note. He has no doubt in his mind that global peace can actually be achieved. But in a reality tone, outside the essay discussion, do you think global peace is possible? No, right? We all know Israel and Palestine, India, Pakistan, or Myanmar, Rohingyas, all these issues are not going to go away anytime soon. Or Russia, USA Cold War. But the thing is, at least on paper, you should project it in such a fashion that I don't have any doubt that global peace is achievable. Because if we don't even start in that direction, how are we even going to know? Clear? So positivity is the most important thing in the conclusion. Right. So before ending this, we have to look at some simple things. Verbosity, hi-fi language, show off of vocabulary. These three things should be avoided at all cost. Simple is always best. Simple expression is the best expression. Next one is, even if you are writing some technical terms, for example, students are having this vocabulary, right? Hobson's choice, Occam's razor, mental models, Anthropocene. I can throw in 10,000 words like this. Problem is, examiner may or may not know them. So if you provide a context and then use one or two occasional keywords, that is fine. But you don't have to show all your Hindu vocabulary there on the paper. Yes or no? So simple language. Always remember, I will tell you a trick. You have a 10th class SSC going brother or sister. If you show your essay to him or her, okay, can she understand that? If she understands whatever you are trying to tell, then that essay is a fantastic essay. One or two words, she may not know vocabulary, what is this, fine. But macro theme, is she able to understand? If you are able to achieve that kind of simplicity through your writing, you are doing extremely well in your essay writing. Okay. Next. When I read your essay, okay, I should read it from your perspective. For example, I'm Kalyan. If somebody is reading an essay, he should see the world from Kalyan's eyes. Okay, not some prefixed templates. The more I feel like I'm seeing the world from your eyes. Okay, the much better your essay is. Always remember that you are 23, 24-year old. You have seen the world a lot. Okay, so all of you know that prism in the schools, right? A triangle will be there. When a light is passed through, it will diffuse into different lights. UPSC topic is also like this. The topic is that prism. Okay, you are that light. When the topic goes through you, if you can show me different dimensions of the world using that particular topic, then I learned something new. For example, poverty. Poverty to me is one definition. Poverty to you might be a different definition. You must have seen your own, let's say, domestic help, suffering from poverty. If you write that example, I'm learning some different perspective of poverty. Yes or no? If you tell me, like, you know, a farmer who is 80-year-old, he's working in the field because of poverty. So I know even after having a land, a farmer is suffering from poverty. That is a different dimension. And who told me that? You told me. Your unique voice told me. So as long as you maintain that uniqueness in your essays will be appreciated. But if I see his copy or your copy or his copy, I'm still seeing the essay from same templated fashion. Gandhiji did this, Gandhiji did that. Okay, then I'm not learning anything about poverty. Yes or no? Each and every person is a vessel. He's like that prism. He can showcase the world in a whole different dimension. The perspective will change. So the more unique your voice, the better the essay scores will be. Think about it. Won't the world be very bored if everybody is telling the same story in the same fashion? Yes or no? There are 10,000 ways to tell Ramayana. Ramayana story is one. But when someone tells, it's very interesting, you stop and listen to it. But when someone tells you feel like, I want to sleep. The story is same. But what changed? The value system changed. Okay. So that is how you make your essays very interesting. Next. And one more trick is, don't use too many contemporary examples. Like, the most cutting edge example should not be used. You should balance it with old and new. Okay, when you use both old and new examples, it makes more impact. And lastly, you should not be totally emotional. Why emotional is wrong? Because you write it in a biased fashion. India can never be a superpower. That is a negative statement. India can never be a superpower. If you see that particular topic, what will be your reaction if you get too emotional? You write, let's say you are too patriotic, your ego is hurt. What will you write? You will start defending India like anything. Why can't India be superpower? India will become superpower in 2050. We have nuclear weapons, we have this, that. So that is purely emotional. And if you are writing 10 pages, 8 pages you will defend India, 2 pages you will write issues. Okay, that is not a balanced essay. What should be done? What are the problems for India to become a superpower? 4 pages. Then you will write why India can become a superpower. And then you write a balanced conclusion by saying, just before the conclusion, you balance it out by saying, yes, India has all the potential in the world to become a superpower. There are some issues as well. But by overcoming all these issues, there is no doubt in my mind that India will become a superpower in the near future. So that will be conclude balanced essay. But if you become too attached, emotional, the essay will be very skewed. It happens. You may not believe me, but once you start writing and send the essays to me, you'll understand all these problems. Because as I told you in the beginning itself, theory is very easy. Like unless you write the essay, you won't understand most of the things I have said, because you have to face them in person. And simple tricks like using he or she, him, her, they will make a huge amount of impact. Point number 8, very simple. Okay, but that tells you that you are very adaptive to change. Okay, right? So any questions so far? So the theme I will summarize. The summarization is this: intro and conclusion are very important. Intro can be 10,000 ways. Intro can be creative. Body part has to be structured, and conclusion has to be optimistic. But the most important thing of all these things is you. It's not what I'm teaching that is going to make you get scores. It's how you see the world that is going to make the world a different place. Think of whatever I have told you in the class is like a water bottle. Okay, intro, body, conclusion. So this is what I'm telling you. This is simple. Okay, but what I pour within this is you. I cannot change how you see the world unless you start seeing the world in a different perspective. Okay, and when I drink the water from this bottle, it should taste very nice. The same way, when I read your essay, the essence is this intro, body, conclusion is at least a structure. Okay, at least you are on par with everybody else in the world. You are standardized. Right now you are only a cap. Let's imagine you don't have a cap. What will happen? You are not even in the competition. Yes or no? So what this class will do is it will tell you the structure. Okay, this is intro, this is importance of intro. Because if there is no intro, what will happen? All the water will spill out. So you have good content, but without intro, your examiner is not going to appreciate you. It's as simple as that. Simple. Intro, body, conclusion. I have told you. But what is in the bottle is you, your thought process, your unique understanding of the world. That has to be highlighted. That can be highlighted only with practice. There is no silver bullet for getting good score in UPSC apart from practice. Okay, every movie you see, every discussion you have at the tea stall, every discussion you have with the parents, everything have a role. For example, some of your parents might be very active in WhatsApp. They might be coming and telling to you, "Oh, see, this WhatsApp forward has come. Okay, people are like this." Then if you know that's a fake news, you can use that in a fake news essay. But if you don't have that perspective, okay, you will just read it and ignore it. Your mind won't even tell you that I can use this in essay. That I cannot teach you. I can tell you that that it has to be used in body part. Okay, that is an easy thing, simple thing. What is easy, what is not easy is you applying everything you see. I hope you understand the difference, right? The most important thing is start seeing the world from a different dimension and start applying it. Clear? And that is when you get good scores. And it can be rectified very easily. There are 10,000 ways to listen, gain knowledge. Yes. Uh, let's say the farmers issue is happening. Okay, why majority of India has stopped supporting the farmers? Is there a unity among farmers? South Indian state farmers are not even participating in the agitation. Why is that happening? Why the present farmer agitation in Punjab and Haryana is not supported by rest of the Indian farmers in the same way? Sorry. MSP, the MSP, the flaw in the MSP plan, right? Only Punjab and Haryana are getting the maximum amount of MSP. But still, when the initial Punjab Haryana farmer agitation started, there was a huge amount of moral support. Yes, after a certain amount of time, the moral support has gone. Why? Violence. Okay. Then you can also say media. Media is a very powerful tool. So now, if a question comes, is Gandhi relevant to 2021? Can I use that particular thing? Chauri Chaura? Yes or no? Non-cooperation movement was withdrawn by Gandhi because of one single incident called as Chauri Chaura. you can understand the context in 2021. The moral authority of a entire agitation was hiding behind non-violence. The moment violence was injected into non-cooperation movement, it lost its moral authority. Gandhi was smart enough to understand it and withdraw it. Today, the farmer agitation's leaders were not so smart in understanding that thing. So the relevance of Gandhi is very high even in 2021. That is perspective. I cannot teach perspective unless you open your mind. Yes or no? So we see a particular thing, farmer agitation is happening. But what did I do? I used the UPSC syllabus template. Okay, ethics. Can I apply it to ethics? Can I apply it to Indian history? What lessons are there? I can go to indigo cultivation. Did indigo cultivation agitation stopped overnight? If you read Bipin Chandra, he mentions a line where indigo farmers won, and after 10 years, indigo went away from that particular area. It took 10 years. For history, Bipin Chandra one line. But in reality, if you think about 10 years, 2022, 2030, 10 years farmer agitation might continue. Okay, but the moral win lied with Gandhi. Okay, so like this, if you start seeing the world from whatever you are learning in history, ethics papers, non-violence, moral authority, automatically will tell a better story. But if you tell, farmers agitation is it's a waste of time, that is also a media creation. They have genuine grievances, but the perspective is yours. So it depends on how you will tell the story, where you tell the story. Intro, body, conclusion is very easy. Sources is easy, but adapting everyday's knowledge and putting it on pen and paper is very, very difficult. I think that is where regular practice of essay will help you. Okay, if you write essay every Sunday or every Saturday, what will happen? You will do mistakes. I will suggest you. So for example, I will suggest you saying you could have used this particular example. Yes. Then you will think, why didn't I think it like this? Then you will understand the value of thesis statement. Unless and until you don't practice, all this is just like a decoration. I came to a class, okay, sir told intro, body, conclusion, different types of introductions. Okay, fine. They got 160 marks, they got 175 marks. What about you? It's you who should get the scores, right? It's not about me or the toppers. It's about you. Are you able to adapt that everyday common sense or everyday learning into your own intros, your own conclusions? That can be done only when you write. Nobody on the earth can teach you. Yes or no? Yes. And you have to also understand there was a time in my generation, 2010-11 time, we used to go to the exam hall without any preparation. And we got sometimes good scores, sometimes bad scores. Now, if you see, everybody is making notes for essays. Everybody is practicing essays, joining test series. So you cannot compete with people who have practiced. So you are at sheer disadvantage if you don't put your pen and paper together. Every Sunday you have to sit and write an essay. So for 7 months, if you write essay every Sunday, there is no stopping, or there is no way that you will get less scores in UPSC. At least bare minimum 130 should be guaranteed, right? Or I hope you understand, right? Like if you practice 40, 50 essays just even before going to UPSC, sheer idea, experience will sail you through the UPSC itself. But without practice, it won't. So if you are really lucky, you might get 170 or 150 plus. See, the difference between 160 ranker and top 10 ranker is 20-25 marks. Within those 25-30 marks, everybody will be there. So essay good score will decide whether you will end up in IRS or IAS, or within IAS in the top 80 or top 10. So 25 marks is life changing in UPSC. Go and talk to any senior or people who gave interviews. Okay, they will tell you even 10 marks will be life changing sometimes. It will decide it will make all the difference whether you are outside or inside the list, whether in the top 150 or top 650. So it's a huge thing. And essay is a low hanging fruit. You don't have to do anything. You have to learn the structuring part, intro, body, conclusions, what is the dimensions, how to apply your brain. From there on, it's a sheer bloody practice. The more you practice, the better you get, right? And the proper your feedback mechanism is, the quicker you grow, right? So these are the major things that you should be considering. So if you have any questions, please let me know. don't worry. Again, I know how all of you are, most of you might be feeling totally new, never wrote an essay. So it must have all have sounded like, bouncer, or it is going, sorry, saying something, it is going out of my mind. I know it. In spite of that, I have prepared this topic because this is wisdom. Wisdom cannot be transferred. Knowledge can be transferred. Wisdom cannot be transferred. Wisdom comes only through practice. If you write an essay, you make an intro. For example, let's say these four people write very good intros. Okay, you can write body part. Okay, unless you actually put it on pen and paper, you don't know how good you are. Today it's pure theory. You are just assuming I may or may not be good in essay. But if you start writing, maybe you have a natural skill to write very good introductions. I guarantee tell you, some students have fantastic writing skills. They don't know that. They think my writing is not good, I have never practiced and all those things. But if you put it on pen and paper and if you send it to me, then I will tell you. But without practice, everything will be purely theoretical. Don't worry about what happened. Yes. So practice is more important. That is the summary. And in the journey, you will make more mistakes. Use this PDF as a guiding light. Okay, basics. Like this is like instruction manual. Okay. After reading the instruction manual, that is when you do the real thing, right? You purchased a new mobile or something. You read the instructions or new settings. Nice. So this is just like that instruction. After that, application. Okay. So any questions? Feel free. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. What's your name? Okay. Okay. Hmm. 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 I will look at that particular copy and I will explain that. Yeah. Again, I must have forgotten, right? Yes. So you must be aware of Daily AWP. There is a group called as Daily Answer Writing Program. So we will share the details also. We will launch a essay module. So you will be writing in 2022. Yeah. So every Sunday you can write an essay module. I will put it on the group. Yeah, that will be provided. It will be there. So if you post it on Sunday, before next Sunday, you will get the copy back. So yes. Hmm. 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 Okay. Mains oriented. Okay. Hmm. 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 Summarization of the data. I understand. Okay. Okay. So simple thing is in UPSC SAR GS answers, you have a word limitation, right? I have to write a 250 word or a 150 word topic on anything. Let's say you take about Afghanistan issue. So what do I need to know about Afghanistan issue? The context, positives, negatives, and implications on India. See, always remember there is a Telugu idiom. How many of you can understand Telugu? All of you can understand, I guess. So there is a Telugu idiom which says, మా ఇంటికి వస్తే ఏమి ఇస్తారు, మీ ఇంటికి వస్తే ఏం తెస్తారు. Right? It's always about me. That means when I'm writing UPSA, okay, if I come to your home, I expect a gift from you. If you come to my home, I expect something you should bring. Right? In the same way, anything you do in UPSC, you are writing for Indian Public Service Commission. So is there an impact on India? See, we have focused so much on Afghanistan, but you should ask a simple question. Yemen, there is a war. Syria, there is a war. Did we discuss or did you see so many articles about Yemen or Syria? No, because there is no direct implication on India. But Afghanistan has a direct implication on India. That means anything and everything you do in UPSC should have Indian context. The more the Indian context, the more points you need to know. Okay. Next, first of all, what is happening in Afghanistan? What are the security threats to India, or what are the issues to India? What are the solutions? So think of any topic, there will be a problem, there are solutions. If there are no problems, how can you make it better? So like this, we can make notes very easily. So Afghanistan, there is a problem. So what can India do? With Pakistan, what can India do? With China, what can India do? With UNSC help, what can India do? Directly, can India help? So 3 or 4 dimensions you can think. So it's always about India, India, India alone. If there is no relation to India, for example, North Korea and South Korea are having some issue, there is no direct implication on India. You don't have to worry about it because USA will take care of it. But if something is happening in Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, there is direct implication to India. So everything and anything that links to India is relevant. Whatever is not relevant to India can be skipped. Okay. So that is how you progress. Yes. Okay. Okay. So structuring issues means thesis statement. Thesis statement will solve your issue. So thesis statement. Yeah. Okay. So I will go through your essays. We will discuss again. Don't worry. Right. And again, only way is practice. There is no other way. What I call it as core of the core nodes. Let's say you have women issues. You need to have a 1-page summary for women only with facts, not analysis, only with facts. What is the child sex ratio in the country? What is the infant mortality rate? You get the points, right? You can call it as Yojana template. What is Yojana template? If you see Yojana magazines, most of the first articles are written by bureaucrats. They start with Constitution of India. These are the provisions for women in Constitution. Then they will go to the schemes. So Constitution, schemes, then facts. So if you take any topic, children, what are the provisions related to children in Constitution? Then what are the schemes in India for children? Then you write the facts for children. According to Census 2011, this many children are there, child labor are there, infant mortality rate is there. Let's say global hunger index came. What is the malnourishment, stunting? So only facts you can write down in a page. 1 page is more than enough. And remember, not more than 100 facts are needed to be remembered in the UPSC exam, right? If you learn a fact in child, you can use it in society also. Like this, overlapping will happen. So macro topics are 13, 14 topics are there. I have added this. They are them also here. So if you see this particular PDF, in the end, I have added things like macro dimensions: health, media, environment, security, economy, education, vision, post independence, like this, democracy. So whenever you see a fact related to these headings, you can just throw them under the respective side heading, and you will have a 25-page notes. All you have to do is, before going to the essay, you can revise the 25 pages and you can dump all the facts. That is how you simplify the things. Only numbers, that too under macro headings. Okay. And you can interchangeably use them. For example, Amartya Sen says 20 some million girl childs are missing. So that can be a fact that can be used. Okay. Like this, you can make a core of the core nodes. Clear? Macro segregation and 1-page notes. And see, in ethics, there is a topic called as thinkers, moral thinkers and philosophical thinkers. If you read that particular topic correctly, you can use the same data here in philosophical essays. So you have to interchangeably use it. Okay. And in art and culture, ancient and medieval and Indian history, there is a topic, achievements of ancient Indians. If you read that topic also, you can use it in philosophy. If you are naturally having a tilt of mind towards Mahabharata, Ramayana, or Indian mythology, Jataka tales, Panchatantra stories, you can use that also in philosophical essays. So it depends on how well you are preparing other papers. If you prepare GS4 properly, moral thinkers perfectly, you can use the same data in essay. You don't again have to make a separate notes. No, not at all. Analysis part, no new notes is needed. Only for facts and quotes. If you overlap it with, see, if you are making notes for society, okay, the same notes can be used in essay also. Society also, you have women issues, social justice, governance issues. The same facts can be used in essay. So it depends on how you are making notes. If you are preparing GS perfectly, the same data can be used in essay. Or if you are preparing notes for essay macro dimensions, the same notes can be used in GS papers. It's a two-way street. Clear? Yes. I know you have inhibitions. I don't know why, but I still am here to help you, because when we wrote our mains for the first time, none of us like had this kind of exposure, like what should be done, what is the problem, what others are doing, what toppers are doing. So we focus on everything that is adapting, right? If you are changing, toppers are doing something new, we can learn from the toppers copies what is something being done there. I used to have this perception when I was an aspirant in my first mains, that you should not underline in essay. Okay, I used to think that I'm not supposed to underline. Even today many people have this confusion, sir, should I draw diagrams in the essay, should I underline? Diagrams, no. Bullet points, no. But underline, definitely yes. You have to underline the key points. So if you're writing a 1,000-page essay, how do I know all the keywords that you are mentioning there? So it's your job to underline and highlight it to me. Diagrams should be a no. Flowcharts, no. Yes. Two pens, definitely yes. Blue and black. You can, if you have that kind of writing speed, 55 minutes you write down everything in blue, take a black pen, underline the keywords. It will still fetch you good scores if you have that writing speed. Or else you can just use the same pen to underline also. No worry. But we had no clue back then. So that is why I'm telling you the templates is very easy. Once you understand what toppers and others are doing, the intro, body, conclusion, the gimmicks can be understood. But what is even more important is feedback and rectification. You have to work on those two things. If you don't join any test series, also remember practice. Every Sunday, sit for 1.5 hours and write. That sheer brainstorming and ability to write will improve your essays. Unless and until you don't do that, you will lose a lot of potential. Right. Okay. So, any more questions? Nothing. That's it. Okay, I will end the session here. Again, if you are having any issues, I have mentioned my Telegram user ID also in the group, right?